dialogue in the faint hum of the air conditioner. One stood in front of his desk, arms crossed, her face unreadable but her eyes sharp enough to pierce through glass. Across the desk, Tim leaned back in his chair, one hand propping his jaw as he shamelessly raked his eyes down her body head to toe, lips stretching into the beginnings of a smirk. Her jaw tightened. "Are you done staring?" His eyes snapped back to hers, startled at the deadly glare she was giving him. He cleared his throat hastily and leaned lazily against the chair as if caught off guard but not guilty in the slightest. "Miss Cole," he said smoothly, lips curling. "Will you marry me?" One blinked. Her expression instantly shifted into disbelief, and she stared at him like he had just confessed he was an alien. "You?" She jabbed her finger at him, eyes narrowed. He rolled his eyes. "What do you mean by you? Who else is in this room? The potted plant?" Her lips twitched into a bitter chuckle as she shook her head. "The famous, pervert playboy, the one so popular among prostitutes. You think I'll marry you?" Tim deadpanned. "Don't act like you don't know that's just rumors. Those women just show up because of someone's order, not because I sent them an invitation." One snorted unimpressed, her arms crossing tighter. The sound hit his pride. Tim hissed, slamming his palm lightly on the desk, leaning forward with narrowed eyes. "Don't give me that look. You have been dealing with those women for 3 years now. You, out of all people, should know it's not true." One sighed and nodded, once, though her face remained stern. "Maybe, but that doesn't mean I'll marry you." His glare sharpened, lips curling into annoyance. "Well, it's not exactly marriage. Think of it more like a contract." Her brows lifted, skeptical. "I need you to help me clear my reputation," he continued, sitting straighter. "At least in front of my father, so I can inherit the business, not Derek." At Derek's name, one's jaw clenched, her expression thoughtful, Tim seeing the shift lean into it. "And don't worry, I'll give you as much as money you need." Her eyes lit up immediately. Without hesitation, she pulled out the chair across from him and sat down, legs closed. "I think I can consider it." He raised a brow, smirking. So Miss Cole and money-minded, he purred, placing both hands on the desk and leaning forward with a glint in his eyes. "What's your price for becoming Mrs. Kim?" One muttered without blinking once, voice flat as ice. "Money, a lot of it." Tim blinked, then laughed in disbelief, leaning back in his chair with a hand over his face. "Wow, my bride is so romantic. Should we add that in the wedding vows too? 𝐖𝐢𝐭𝐫 to love, honor, and take all of Kim Kim's money until death do us apart." One didn't even blink. "Don't worry, your vows will be written in advance too. 𝐼_Kim_Kim'O to stay away from my wife and mind my own damn business." His mouth fell open for once. He was speechless. Then a chuckle escaped him and he shook his head, lips quirking. "Unbelievable. Savage at its finest." "You wanted my answer," she replied flatly, eyes narrowing. He leaned forward again, smiled sly. "So are you sure, Miss Cole?" Her eyes met his unflinchingly. "Yes, I'm sure." He nodded, opening the drawer and pulling out a sleek black file. "This is the contract. Read it and you can add your clauses." One flipped it open, scanning quickly before grabbing a pen. Without hesitation, she began scribbling on the margins. "Clause 1. You don't interfere in my personal life and I don't interfere in yours." Clause 2. Financial security on my terms and all investment from this marriage will be under my name. Clause 3. Don't expect me to play wife in private unless necessary. Tim blinked at the sheer bluntness. Are you writing a marriage contract or a ceasefire treaty?" She ignored him, muttering. "Clause 4. No touching unless required for appearance." He closed his chest dramatically. "No touching. Miss Cole, do you realize what a cruel punishment that is for me?" She glanced up deadpan. "Not my problem." He chuckled, biting his lip, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "You are already acting like a wife nagging her husband. Cute." One slammed the pen down, glaring. "Keep talking and I'll add clause 5. Gag order on perverted remarks." He leaned forward, smirk widening. "Oh, so do you think of my remarks as perverted, which means you are thinking about them?" She stood abruptly, brushing her skirt down with icy precision, ears insufferable. Before she could step away, his voice followed smoothly. Wait, before you go," she paused, turning with an arched brow. His grin was boyish and mischief. "If I behave really well, do I get a honeymoon clause too?" Her lips pressed into a thin line, eyes like daggers. "If you behave really well, you'll get a survival clause." He burst out laughing, clapping once as he leaned back into his chair. Absolutely delighted. "Miss Cole, I think I just fell in love. Go fall in a ditch," she muttered, turning on her heel. "Will you join me there if I do?" He called after her, his tone teasing and perverted as always. Her hand tightened on the door handle. Without looking back, she coldly said, "If I do, I'll bury you in it myself." Tim grinned ear to ear, watching the road shut behind her. "Mrs. Kim has quite the bite. I can't wait." Time skip. One evening, Tim knocked at one's apartment door. For once, his hair was combed neatly, suit crisp, and no lazy grin on his face. Instead, his jaw was set firm. The door opened and one's brother Leon appeared. He was tall, stern-eyed, with the kind of presence that made even Tim, the playful devil himself, straighten his shoulders. "You must speak in Tim," Leon asked, and Tim nodded, saying, "I'm sorry to show up unannounced." Leon shook his head, inviting him in. "It's okay, come in." Tim stepped in when he heard one's warm voice. "Leon, did you eat?" And who is at the door? She appeared with a soft smile, but her smile frightened seeing Tim. Tim froze. His head snapped toward her as he thought, "Did she just sound sweet?" Leon smiled faintly at her, brushing her hair back. "Yes, I did." She nodded, holding his arm. Tim blinked. Who the hell is this woman? The same one who threw knives with her words at him was suddenly affectionate. His heart leaped uncomfortably. Leon's gaze turned to Tim. "Your guest is here, Wine." She just muttered a small hi and told him to sit. They all sat and Leon came straight to the point. "You like my sister?" "Yes, I like her," Tim said without flinching. Wine's heart jumped at the sincerity in his tone. Her eyes flickered to him quickly. His jaw tight, yet steady. He almost looked serious. For a moment she thought she saw something real, but she shook it off immediately. Good actor, must be rehearsed. Leon's voice softened slightly. So when's the wedding? Theon smiled. I would like to introduce her to my family first, then have a proper wedding. We will just register the marriage. Wine cutting swiftly her tone cool, and just have a small gathering. Theon turned his head slowly to look at her, eyes narrowing, small. He wanted grand. He wanted loud. He wanted her in white, with the world watching, but he swallowed. Fine, he said after a pause, nodding. Leon studied them carefully before sighing. If she agrees, I won't stop her. That night stuck with him. The way wine was soft and warm with Leon haunted him. Ever since he kissed her endlessly, so he scolded, when will you treat me like that? You're not Leon or my close person. She would reply bluntly, still your husband to be. He would shoot back, then act like one. Her sharp tongue always left him speechless, before he chuckled helplessly. Today Wine arrived at Kim mansion with him. Wine stepped inside with her usual poker face while Theon grinned, ear to ear clearly in his element. He called out, Mom. The sound of hurried footsteps filled the hallway. Before Naomi, a graceful woman with warm eyes, came rushing out. Theon, she hugged him tightly. My boy, I missed you so much. He hugged back, chuckling. Missed you too, Mom. She snorted. Liar, you would have come to see me if you missed me. He grinned. Your old man gives me those looks of disdain as if his bald head. Naomi cut him off, laughing, and smacked his arm. Yeah, don't say nonsense. Her eyes shifted, landing on Wine. And who's this beauty? Theon's grin turned dramatic. He gestured with a flourish. Mom, meet my future wife, Miss Cole turned Miss Kim, soon to be. Wine deadpanned at him, but Naomi chuckled, pulling her into a hug. Welcome, dear. Nice to meet you, ma'am. Wine greeted politely, surprisingly warm. Just then a squeal rang out. Oppa. Talia, Theon's sister, came running, throwing her arms around him. I missed you so much. Theon grinned. Missed me? You sure you didn't even text me last month? Some love you have. Talia pouted, whining. Oppa. He pinched her cheek and said, you must need money. Talia glared at him and gasped. You mean I'm mean? Naomi rolled her eyes, laughing. Ignore them, Wine, they're crazy. Wine's lips curved slightly. I can see that. Naomi ushered them inside. Come in, come in. Talia said, walking toward the couch dramatically while Theon slipped his arm around Wine's waist. Wine gasped softly, whispering harshly. What are you doing? If you don't blush, he whispered close to her ear. They'll know it's fake. Her nails pinched his side sharply. If you don't shut up, they'll know you're stupid. He hissed but tightened his hold, pulling her even closer. Wine placed her hands on his chest to push him away, glaring up at him. He only smiled down. Flustered, she quickly stepped aside, turning and froze. Derek. He stood there, arms crossed, eyes narrowed, but Wine quickly regained her composure. Lips curling into a cold smile. His brows furrowed, his eyes flickering with something sharp. At that moment, Mr. Kim entered, posture stiff. Theon straightened, voice firm but polite. Dad. He placed a hand on Wine's back. Come sit, Wine. They sat side by side as Theon introduced her. This is Wine, my fiancé. Then to Wine. This is my father and my brother, Derek. Wine's gaze flicked coldly to Derek. Pleasure. Derek scoffed. Fiancé. Interesting. Theon sensed the tension between Wine and Derek but shrugged. Derek leaned back mockingly. You sure she knows what kind of man you are? Wine's eyes narrowed, was sharp as steel. I know enough, which is why I'm sitting next to him. Derek's mouth opened, but no words came. Talia chuckled while Naomi pressed her lips to hide a smile, then shook his head, grinning, savage. Theon, Mr. Kim's stern voice cut through. Explain yourself. All this women's names being linked with you, the photos, the parents. What were you doing there? Theon leaned back, arms crossing, working at a bar, with women hanging on your arm. I was buying a drink, and they hung themselves out of nowhere. Not my fault. Wine bit back a smile, like father, like son. Mr. Kim scowled. Excuses, always excuses. And you? Theon shot back bluntly, always assumptions. Maybe we should switch roles for a day. Don't you dare speak to me like that. Then don't ask me crackhead questions, old man. Naomi sighed. Both of you stop bickering like children. Meanwhile, Derek's venomous voice cut through. A playboy like him will never change no matter what mask he wears. Theon's gaze snapped to him. And a snake like you will always hiss no matter what mask you wear. Derek's jaw clenched, voice rising. You? Enough, Derek. Naomi snapped, making him freeze. He stared at her in disbelief. Why do you pamper your stepson so much? He spat. Naomi's eyes blazed. Shut up, he's my son. Talia snorted. Derek, you're just jealous. Derek's face darkened. Jealous? Of him? Wine's cold voice cut in smoothly. Yes, it's written all over your face. Try a different expression. This one's getting boring. Derek fell silent, jaw tight. With a groan, he stood and stormed out. Naomi muttered, disrespectful. She turned to him. I'm sorry you have to put up with him. Theon smiled softly. Now you're acting like a stepmother. Naomi glared, smacking his arm. Brat. He chuckled. Naomi excused herself to the kitchen. Wine leaned closer to Theon, whispering, I can't believe she's your stepmother. She's so good. Theon smiled softly. She's more than my own mother to me. I never knew mine, but Naomi never let me feel the lack. Before Wine could respond, Talia plopped beside him. Oppa, I'm still mad. Theon wrapped his arm around her shoulder. My baby sister, don't pout. It makes you look like a duck, Oppa. She whined, hitting him. Wine chuckled softly, catching Mr. Kim's gaze. So, he said, eyes narrowed at Theon. Are you really going to settle down, or is this his other game? Wine's lips curled, her voice sharp yet calm. It's not a game. He's already settling down with me. Mr. Kim studied her before sighing. Theon smiled at Wine. She didn't look at him, but he swore he saw the tiniest flicker of warmth in her eyes. Few days later, Theon and Wine registered their marriage, and as it had been decided, they just threw a party. The night before the party, Wine stood stiffly in Theon's spacious living room, her arms crossed as Theon hummed cheerful. switching on a soft playlist. You know, he grins, stepping closer. If we are going to fool everyone tomorrow, we need to look real, natural, levitating. I don't need lessons in acting, Wine muttered coolly, especially not from a clown like you. He closed his chest dramatically. Ouch, clown. Wife, you wound me. Don't call me that. She snapped. He only leaned closer, brushing her hair back behind her ear with a sudden seriousness that made her breathe hitch. His voice dropped low. Should we rehearse the kissing part too? Her heart skipped, her throat going dry, as she stared at him for a moment too long. Quickly she recovered, her eyes narrowing. You rehearse in hell. Then chuckled at the sight of her crimson cheeks. You're blushing, Mrs. Kim admitted. Being my official wife changed your feelings. Changed them for worse, she muttered. Really? He tilted his head, smirking. Because your face is otherwise, your ears too cute. She glared, fists clenching. Do you ever shut up? He raised both hands in surrender. Okay, fine, let's practice the dance, Miss Cole. She honked flatly, placing her hand in his. As the music flowed, Tham guided her, hand firm on her waist, pulling her slightly closer. Left foot, right, no wine. That's my foot you just crushed, she scored. Maybe I meant to, violent wife. He teased, smirking. I like it. But the longer they ran, the harder it became for Wine to ignore his warm closeness, the way his chest brushed against hers. Her heartbeat raced wildly, and though she tried to keep her eyes elsewhere, she kept finding herself staring at his lips, his eyes, his smile. Tham, of course, noticed. Why are you staring, wife? I'm not. She muttered, quickly looking away. He chuckled lowly. If you keep looking at me like that, I'll really think you fell for me. Delusional. She snapped, but her voice wasn't steady. Now, the Kim mansion burst with chatter and laughter as friends, relatives, and business partners gathered. Tham walked in with Wine on his arm, his grin waked. Wow. He whispered dramatically, eyes scanning her gown. My wife is so beautiful tonight, I might faint. Her eyes widened. For once, his compliment didn't feel like a joke. It sounded genuine. He trudged to her face as she quickly tucked her hair behind her ear. He smiled broadly, sliding his arm around her waist as Naomi approached. Here they are, the couple of the evening. Naomi introduced them warmly to guests while Wine managed polite smiles, but she could feel Derek's burning gaze from a corner. Eyes stabbing into her, she smiled at him cold and taunting, making his jaw clench in rage. Tham leaned down softly. What's with the dagger war? Nothing, Wine shrugged. Trash should stay where it belongs. He shook his head, chuckling. Just then Talia bounced over. Only come, I want you to meet my friends. Later, Tham said, but Talia insisted, tugging her arm. Tham laughed. Careful, Wine, my sister's basically a witch. Don't let her put a spell on you. Oppa. Talia whined, sulking. I'm not a witch. You fly on a broomstick sometimes, don't deny it. Talia glared at him, stomped her foot, and walked away sulking. Wine pinched his side. You're rude, he hissed. Wife abuse. Then before she could move, he leaned in and kissed her cheek swiftly. Her eyes widened. Tham, he grinned innocently. What? I had to protect you from the witch. Stop it. He kissed her cheek again. Blushing again, cute. She glared, muttering, stop being a clown. He leaned closer, whispering, then smile at me once and I'll stop. She rolled her eyes and walked away. I'm going to Talia. He watched her go, grinning like a fool. After introductions with Talia's friends, Wine sat alone in a corner. Derek's shadow fell over her. So, you really married him? Wine asked, abroad, smirking. Why? Can't I get married? Remember what you said? That no man would want me. That I couldn't move on from you. She leaned forward. Well, look, I'm with your brother, and he's crazily in love with me. Derek's jaw clenched. So you married him just to piss me off. She chuckled coldly. You think too highly of yourself. I married him because I love him with all my heart and soul. The words slipped out sharper than intended. Wine froze for a split second. The confession sounded true. Too true. Derek scoffed. He's still a playboy, always will be. Her eyes narrowed. Don't force me to open my mouth. We both know who's ruining his reputation behind the curtains. He snorted but then muttered, there's going to be a show now, enjoy. He walked away with Evan, Wine frowned unsettled. She searched the crowd until her eyes found him. As always, he smiled widely at her. That smile that seemed to light up the whole room. For a moment, she couldn't help but think bitterly. Why did I waste 3 months with Derek when someone like him exists? Then pulled her close. Why the frown? Want a drink? Want me to sneak you out? She shook her head softly. Just stay. Before he could reply, the front doors burst open. Reporters flooded in with cameras flashing, and a woman stumbled forward crying. Papers clutched in her hands. The room erupted in whispers, seeing the famous model Capri who had disappeared months ago. Wine's eyes widened. That's the model Capri, the one who was sent to your suit during the Wilson meeting. Tham exhaled sharply, jaw clenching. Mr. Kim stepped forward, voice booming. This is a private ceremony, but the woman sobbed loudly, pointing at him. He's enjoying his married life, but he ruined my life, my career. He used me, but didn't even pay me. He left me pregnant. Gasped, echoed. Reporters shoved microphones forward, hurling nasty questions at Tham and Wine. Tham's fists clenched. But before he could say anything, Wine stepped forward, her voice sharp and commanding. Shut up, all of you. The room went silent. She glared at the reporters and then at Capri. Stop throwing dirty water on my husband. Tham doesn't even know you. Kim Tham never touched anyone. Those scandals are fake. This woman is lying and I have proof. Naomi's eyes shone with pride, while Tham stared at Wine, softened by her fire. The woman wailed louder. He ruined me. Wine pulled out her phone, projecting a video. This is footage of the guards dragging her out of his suit. In his absence, she snuck in, gas filled the room, and these. Wine flicked through documents, her voice like a blade. Are her medical records? She can't get pregnant. She had her uterus removed. The woman paled. I have more. Do you want me to show your dirty private life in front of the media? The reason why you left your modeling career? Wine's voice rose and she stepped toward the woman, barely holding back from hitting her. She then smirked. We investigate each one of you and soon we'll reveal who's behind this. Her cold eyes flicked toward Derek, smirking. Tham held Wine's hand and whispered into her ear. Don't go hitting someone, the media is still here. She snorted while the guards dragged the women and reporters out as Mr. Kim barked orders. Leon caught Wayne's eye from across the room, smiling proudly. She grinned back. Tim leaned close, whispering softly in her ear, "Why not pass me the same smile, wife?" She showed him a sharp glare. "Smile at your own reflection." He chuckled, squeezing her hand gently. "Thank you, Wayne, really." His voice was low, genuine. Her heart twisted. "We need to reveal their extremes soon. I can't stand this anymore." He nodded his jaw tightly. "We will." As the guests were ushered out and the gathering entered, the house was unusually quiet after the ruined gathering. Sam walked ahead, his hand barely brushing Wayne's, as if afraid she would pull away. He opened the door of what was now their bedroom and let her step in first. Wayne stood in the doorway, her brows furrowing as her eyes scanned the room. Her gaze fell on the large bed at the center, the faint scent of cologne and new sheets hanging in the air. She took a slow breath before muttering, "I'll sleep on the couch." Her voice was firm, almost cold, but beneath it was exhaustion. Sam's Adam's apple bobbed as he answered in a low tone, almost a whisper, "All your belongings are shifted here." Wayne's eyes flickered toward the wardrobe and the vanity table. Her heart skipped a beat at the thought of sharing this space, but she ignored the pull in her chest and stepped further in. Her feet carried her to the bed and then she froze. Her eyes narrowed. Laid across the sheets were silk garments, lingerie, along with a folded slip of paper. Her stomach twisted as she picked it up and read aloud mockingly, "Can't wait to see you in these tonight. Don't keep me waiting." She whipped her head toward him, her glare sharp and accusing. Sam's eyes widened, his ears instantly burning as his lips fell open in horror. "Wait, that's not mine, I swear, this isn't mine." He reached out as if to snatch the note away, stumbling over his words. He was clearly flustered, face red as he muttered, "This must be Talia's doing. Wayne, you have to believe me, please." Wayne hummed with the note, then let out a heavy sigh and turned his back. Walking over to the dressing mirror, his fingers fumbled as he loosened his tie and slipped his watch off his wrist. For once his playful mask slipped, leaving only the raw, unguarded man beneath. His reflection in the mirror looked weary, his voice low-colored with something fragile. "I can't believe my brother can scoop this low. We might not be birthed by same mother, but we were brought up by the same woman." Wayne's chest ached at the tone. The agony in his voice made her physical. She wanted just for a moment to step forward and tell him he wasn't alone, but before she could, he disappeared into the washroom. Left alone, she sighed and sank onto the couch, trying to steady the emotions in her chest. Minutes passed before Tim returned, now in a plain shirt, hair slightly damp from washing his face. But his steps halted abruptly. There was Wayne, holding a half-empty glass in one hand and the bottle in other. He gasped and rushed toward her, crouching to her level. "Wayne, what are you doing? Why are you drinking at this hour?" Wayne squinted at him with hazy eyes, her lips forming a stubborn pout as she slurred, "What does it look like? I'm drinking." Tim frowned, taking the glass from her. "You can't drink wine. Who gave this to you?" She giggled, leaning sideways dramatically, and said with a pout, "I asked the maid. Don't scold her. I begged her with puppy eyes. You know these eyes." She widened her drug-in eyes, comically fluttering her lashes. Tim pinched the bridge of his nose, suppressing a smile of frustration at once as he sighed. Unbelievable. He took the bottle from her grip and set it aside, but as soon as his hands brushed her shoulders, Wayne's face crumpled. Her eyes fell, and then tears spilled out. She suddenly clung to him, arms wrapping tightly around his torso. She cried against him, sniffling, "You're so mean. You don't want me. You'll never want me. Why didn't you let me hit that woman?" Startled, Tim whispered, "Wayne, what are you doing?" Her tears dampened his shirt, but became soft. She tried to lighten it in the silliest way possible. Wayne hiccuped, then with a wobbly smile she said, "But don't worry, I'll attend your funeral when Derek kills you. Stupid Derek, I'll kill him." Her tone shifted dramatically, her lips wobbling in a pout, then curling into a childish scowl. Thansless twist and a soft laugh broke out of him. "God, you're impossible." Her crying intensified. She muffled against his chest. "Stop laughing at me. I'm crying here, you heartless monster." He hugged her tighter, resting his chin on the top of her head and whispering softly, stroking her hair, "I'm not laughing enough, that's the problem." Wayne hiccuped again, pulling back slightly to glare at him with swollen teary eyes, then she dramatically cursed with a pout. "Derek can rot in hell with Capri, and you can too if you laugh one more time." Her threat came out so slurred and childish that Tim burst into another quiet laugh, his chest shaking beneath her cheek. She hit his chest weakly with her fist, whining, "You're enjoying this too much." He smiled softly, brushing away her tears with his thumb. "Come on, sleep now." He stood and grabbed a quilt from the bed, draping it over her, but she clung to his chest, shaking her head and slurring stubbornly, "No, I'll sleep with you." His eyes widened, his ears turning red. He groaned, "Wayne, no, I don't want to die when you wake up tomorrow and strangle me for this." She only pouted harder, lips wobbling as fresh tears swelled in her eyes, and whispered brokenly, "So you don't want me?" The sight of her small, teary, vulnerable made his heart ache. He shook his head, quickly cupping her face, and softly said, "No, that's not it. You'll just hate me even more tomorrow." Wayne sniffled, shaking her head. "I don't hate you, I never did." But Tim tucked her and walked to the bed. Just as he laid, Wayne climbed onto the bed and laid on him, burying her face in his neck. He froze before his eyes fluttered shut, his chest rising and falling heavily. He finally gave in, wrapping his arms around her waist and pulling her close. His fingers gently threaded through her hair as he whispered almost inaudibly, "Then sleep here just this once." Wayne sighed in content, nuzzling into him like a kitten, and whispered against his neck, "Warm, comfy pillow, mine." Then chuckled softly, pressing his lips to her hair as he closed his eyes and whispered, "Yours." And with her soft hiccups and silly little mutters fading, she finally drifted to sleep in his arms. Handscape. Wayne stood blinking against the brightness, only to realize something was different. Her cheek rested on something firm and warm, and her hands were wrapped tightly around an arm, Tim's arm. Her bag was pressed to his chest, his breath tickling the crown of her hair. Her eyes widened and panicked, thinking, "No, this can't be happening." She carefully looked down at the way she clung to his arm like a lifeline, hugging it with both hands. His fingers were coiled loosely against her waist, like even in sleep he refused to let go. Her cheeks burst into flames and she screamed, "Kim!" Then jerked away, groggy and confused voice husky. What's wrong?" She scrambled away from him like he was fire, clutching the blanket to her chest and yelled with a red face. "Why the hell was I hugging you?" He blinked at her, then slowly smirked, his morning voice deep and teasing. "You tell me you climbed onto my bed yourself last night, couldn't resist me." Her jaw dropped, furious and flustered, she muttered, "You liar, I would never." He grinned smugly. "You were so cuddly, like a little koala. Honestly, I almost couldn't breathe." Her lips trembled as tears of frustration filled her eyes. You're making fun of me." Kim's smugness immediately faltered. His grin faded as he reached forward, panic flashing across his face as he softly said, "Wait, no wine. I was just joking. Hey, don't cry. Please, I swear I didn't mean it like that." She shoved him away with the blanket, turning her back. He sighed heavily, guilt pressing against his chest. That day marked the beginning of her avoidance. Despite her attempts to ignore him, Kim's teasing only grew bolder in public. At a large family gathering, he would lean down, his lips brushing close to her ear, and whisper smugly, "People are staring. Maybe I should kiss you. Make it look like real." Wine nearly choked on her drink, snapping her head toward him with a glare. "Kiss me and I'll kneel you so hard your family jewels will become memories." His grin widened, completely unbothered, as he murmured in a low, hissing voice, "At least you thought about my jewels, wife." Her cheeks burned crimson. She smacked his chest with her palm, furious, and he shut up. He caught her hand easily, pressing it to his chest with a cocky grin. "Careful, princess. My cousins are watching." Indeed, his cousins were across the room, howling with laughter at their bickering. Later, when Wine muttered under her breath, "If you ever kiss me again, I'll charge you." Kim's eyes twinkled mischievously. "Gladly. In fact, I'll pay extra if it is on the lips." She hurled a pillow at his face, blushing furiously as he cackled. Back at the office, professional, that's what Wine told herself, but Kim never respected boundaries. When she finally got a coffee break, Kim appeared out of nowhere, snatching the mug from her hand. She snapped, "Are you insane? That's mine." He sipped leisurely, licking his lips dramatically. "Tastes better because it's yours." Her eyes narrowed. "You disgusting thing," smiled, "and you love it." She spun on her heels, storming off, ears burning red. Now he called her to his office again. "You forgot to sign here, Mrs. Kim." He pointed at the file. Her eyes flashed and she said dryly, "It's Miss Cole." He leaned back lazily in his chair, voice dropping. "Doesn't sound as sexy as Mrs. Kim. Wanna hear how it sounds in my bedroom, boys?" She grabbed the stapler and flung it at him. He dodged, laughing. "So violent. I think I'm falling for it." Before Wine could retort, the office door burst open. Mr. Kim stormed in, face red with fury. Naomi right behind him, trying to calm him, and Derek trailing lazily. "Kim," Mr. Kim growled. Kim stood quickly. "What happened?" Mr. Kim's glare cut between Kim and Wine like a blade. "Is everything okay?" Wine asked politely. Mr. Kim cleared his jaw and muttered, pointing at her, "I'll talk to you later." Kim's brows furrowed and he stepped closer protectively. He murmured in a dangerously low tone, "Watch your tone, old man. That's my wife you're talking to." Mr. Kim's face twisted with rage as he grabbed Kim's collar, drawing him forward and muttered through gritted teeth, "You have made me lose face, embarrassed me, shamed me, ruined my reputation." He shoved Kim back with a jerk, throwing a file into his face. Papers spilled everywhere. "This marriage is fake. You both made a contract and fooled everyone." Wine's blood ran cold, her face paled as she turned her glare sharply at Derek. He only raised a gross mug. Kim calmly picked up the file, flipping through it. He then smiled, muttering, "These papers are fake, dear brother. You should have made them real at least. And you," he glanced at Mr. Kim, "you have been in business for decades, but couldn't even identify a forgery." Mr. Kim snatched them back, inspecting them. Kim leaned casually against his desk and bent down, whispering something into Wine's ear. Her eyes widened, lighting up as she hurried to the locker, retrieving a pen drive. Mr. Kim barked, "Even hand signatures are fake." Derek's face lost its color. Wine opened the laptop and then began calmly, his tone sharp. "For months, Derek has been sending women to my rooms, my office, anywhere he could. And when that failed, he spread rumors about me, made fake scandals. Here's the evidence. On the screen, Derek was caught on camera paying a woman insane, drug him, end up in bed with him, ruin him, make videos of him, do whatever you can." Then another video, Wine dragging a drugged Kim out of a hotel, saving him, and many more videos where Derek is being the woman, including 𝐾𝐨𝐲𝐵's confession. The room froze. Kim muttered coldly, "Took me long enough to recognize the snake in my own bloodline." Naomi walked toward Derek with teary eyes and whispered, "Did you really do that?" Derek let out a deep breath and nodded. Naomi slapped Derek, repeatedly sobbing, "How could I have birthed a son like you?" Mr. Kim was speechless, shaking with rage. Kim held back Naomi as she wept in his arms. Mr. Kim then growled at Derek, "Come out before I lose my mind completely, Derek." Wine smirked and waved at Derek mockingly as he stormed out. Naomi continuously apologized to him. He held her shoulders and wiped her tears. "Mom, please don't apologize. I'm fine. Just go after your old man. He might hit Derek." She sniffled and said, "He deserves it." Kim then coaxed her to go after them. After Naomi left, Wine walked toward Kim, holding the contract, and asked quietly, "Why is this fake? This is the same one I signed with you." Somewhere deep inside, relief bloomed, but she masked it. Kim ran a hand through his hair, forcing a smile and lied. "That's the other one. I made this to trap Derek. I knew he wouldn't sit still." Her brows rose unconvinced, but he quickly walked to his chair, leaning back and said softly, "Let's terminate the contract, Wine. I like you." Her heart slammed against her lips. She froze, struggling to breathe, but masked it with indifference and coldly asked, "When will you transfer the money of the contract?" His throat popped. "Today." She noticed, stiffly turning to leave, but his voice stopped her. "Wine, do you know Derek? I mean, I felt it." Her hands trembled, and she muttered quickly, "No, I don't." And before he could stop her, she practically ran out of the office. He leaned back in his chair, closing his eyes, whispering to himself, "Will she ask for a divorce now?" His chest ached as he closed his eyes and threw his head back.